Slave. Barbarian. Warrior. Thief. Conan.
Hello, Contrarians, listeners, watchers, subscribers. Here we are with another Contrarians After Hours. This one
sword
is the Sword and Sandals edition. We never think these through. We don't think ahead, Alex. I know I have somewhere in this house a plastic sword. Could have just shown up with, And
I have many phallic-shaped objects around my house. I'm sure I could have found something.
If we had really prepped, we could have gotten wigs. We could have had the barbarian.
I'm doing all right here.
You're not gonna compare that, which is fine for like 2025, but
yeah, not to Arnold, or especially not to James Earl Jones.
No, they would laugh you out of that set.
There has to be a picture somewhere of Oliver Stone wearing one of the wigs, just like visiting set for a day.
John Milius in the background, just really angry.
Yeah, just deadpanning.
Yeah, it's like, can we move on? We're on the clock here. Conan the Barbarian. We're talking about Conan the Barbarian. That's what should have tipped you off. Besides the title of the video, is that we mentioned James Earl Jones. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe he makes a cameo in Conan the Destroyer, or the Jason Momoa Conan from a few years ago. But what we're talking about here is like the beginning of the Conan cinematic universe, as it were. The humble beginnings of one Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I guess the first live action adaptation of the Conan the Barbarian property. I think that's what we
believe so.
Landed on. Whatever the case, 67% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. So that means that on the episode we picked it apart. We gave it the Contrarians treatment. We treated it as if it was a bad movie. And then, we told you how we really feel. But here, we're going to do the usual post-credits thing. We're going to give you some more Rotten Tomatoes quotes. We're going to give you some more trivia. We're going to talk about the trailer. And, of course, the Josh Gad Minute. But maybe not in that order. We're going to start with the quotes. And here I have, Alex, a consensus that goes right next to that 67% fresh. It says, though Conan may take itself too seriously for some, this adventure film about a former slave seeking vengeance is full of quotable Schwarzenegger lines and gritty action. Can you remember a single line from Arnold Schwarzenegger?
That's one of my main points of critique in the episode, is that the dialogue is just very meandering.
Especially when you get to Conan. And I mean, we know why, because at that point in his career, Arnold was not his strong suit.
No.
No dialogue. And honestly, I would have taken him out of the grunting as well, because not even the grunting is good when it comes to
some ADR of just, stagehand. Oh, no.
Oliver Stone. Joe Milius is like, okay, if you're going to be here, make yourself useful. Do some grunting. All right, we got two fresh quotes. So I'm going to go with Fred Topple first. Fred Topple from About.com, who says, Arnold's first real movie, not counting Hercules and the Villain, very serious. Needs more humor, but a good debut.
He was also in the Long Goodbye. Just need to call that out.
Yeah. So he's talking about two separate movies, right? Because you told me Hercules in New York was one. Mm-hmm. Or is Hercules and the Villain another name for Hercules in New York?
He had, I think, 3 movies before this, and one of them was The Long Goodbye. Let me just verify this here.
Another.
Well, of course, Pumping Iron.
It's as satisfying to me as coming is, as having sex with a woman and coming. So can you believe how much I am in heaven? I'm like getting the feeling of coming in the gym. I'm getting the feeling of coming at home. I'm getting the feeling of coming backstage when I pump up, when I pose out in front of 5,000 people. I get the same feeling. So I'm coming day and night. I mean, it's terrific, right? So, I'm in heaven.
But as far as, The Villain came out in 1979. I feel like we brought that up.
I know you mentioned other movies because
the movie with Kirk Douglas and Anne Margaret.
Man, dwarfed. What was he doing? He also had a sword. He was just like,
Plays Handsome Stranger's his character's name. So
well, that says it all. But he has an actual name in Conan. He is Conan. Next, Scott Kane from Atlanta Journal-Constitution says, a dynamite movie for comic book fans. The moment Thulsa Doom turns into a snake will either thrill you or make you squirm, but you will watch in fascination.
the
I don't
last
think it
part's
did
right.
either.
It didn't make me do either of those things, but I did watch in fascination.
Yeah.
It's like, what is going? It's like, that's not James Earl Jones. He's a snake.
I can't wait for this to pay off in the third act. Still waiting. Well,
Much like Sum 41, we are still waiting.
Thulsa Doom, James Earl Jones. I think most people would agree he's a highlight of the Conan the Barbarian experience because, if nothing else, it's James Earl Jones in a sword and sandals epic. And as this quote just said, he turns into a snake at some point. So, if you're looking for reasons to watch Conan, that is a good one. Or if not, maybe you just want reasons to watch the trailer. And thus, Alex, we transition into the trailer chatter part of this video.
Beautiful 80s trailer where none of the story is revealed in the trailer. It's just a bunch of shots of action and characters and setting set to some fairly intense music, and then every probably 20 to 30 seconds in the trailer you'll get a full line of dialogue completely out of context that you don't really know how this applies to any of the characters or the story involved. And then also, in true It Used to Be Better fashion, at the end we get the Conan the Barbarian. The sword goes through the Conan, and then it starts like as the center focus, then it shrinks down as we bring the credits up. It's if you've seen a trailer for an 80s movie, you know exactly what I'm speaking of at the last shot of the trailer. It's not the title card, but the logo, the credits and whatnot. So we've done a lot of movies recently, it seems. Well, maybe not a lot, but I think the majority of this, for the movies we cover, you and I bring to, man, they gave away way too much of the movie. Our last episode, That Awkward Moment, or is it That Awkward Moment?
Yeah.
The Awkward Moment? Awkward Moment, it's much cleaner. Yeah, dude, that gave away like everything like pivotal that happens in the movie.
The best joke in the movie was given away.
The best joke in the movie, and like the big crescendo of when everything hits the fan.
Yeah.
Here, there's going to be women, good-looking women. There's going to be some fire. There's going to be some swords, some jack dudes, some blood.
Okay, you do see James Earl Jones turn into a snake. Maybe you don't register that that's what's happening.
I've seen the movie and I still don't register that's what happened. I do like, I believe it's the final shot of the trailer, the reveal of James Earl Jones' like army, like that. Congregated. Yeah.
The torches.
Yeah.
I like that we get a little bit of Valeria, Conan's love interest here. There's that shot of the. It's funny because the way it hits like the music crescendos as they're naked in bed and she hugs him.
Yeah.
Oh, this relationship is important.
The Dark Knight trailer where the Joker claps as the music crescendos.
Yes. I guess you get a lot of Arnold swinging the sword. And that's not a euphemism. That is literally what he does 50% of the trailer. My question is, if you're a Conan the Barbarian fan, if you like the comic books, maybe you've read the books, and you watch this, how do you feel about it, right? Like, the scene... Conan...
Yeah, we talked about this. Of like, imagine you're, what's a good, like, Watchmen's a good example of like everyone had their friend in their in the group that had read the book and was disgusted by the movie. So
but the trailer, if you're a Watchmen fan and you watch the Watchmen trailer, I mean,
it could be Stevie Wonder and you'd watch that trailer and be like, oh my god. But I get your point exactly. Who was the truther or the Conan historian out there, the Dave Meltzer of the time that watched this and just like fold their arms, hashtag not my Conan.
The guy that's like, did you guys notice that he didn't say a single word in the trailer? That's a red flag.
This makes me nervous, dude.
Yeah. Someday we'll find out. Maybe when we eventually get around to doing Conan the Destroyer in some version of the show, whether it's after hours or a Patreon bonus or whatever. But how much in canon, in traditional Conan canon, it's a fun thing to say, Conan canon, you will, how much of the movie is like, Thulsa Doom, Valeria, the other two sidekicks that don't even show up in the trailer. Like, are they part of the Conan stories? If you're like a Conan fan, you see the trailer and you're like, hey, that's the snake guy, from the stories, from the thing, and that's his girlfriend. I don't know, but I'm curious. Conan fans, I know you're out there because somehow this movie got a sequel, so it means that a lot of people went and saw it.
Yeah, and this one made a good amount of money.
Yeah, so let us know. What do you remember watching this trailer and feeling either really excited or very scared of what they've done to your beloved character? I would like to know. But with that, Alex, we move out of the trailer chatter and we go over to the Josh Gad Minute. I think this one is a little challenging. Not for us, but for Josh Gad. If you're going to put him in this movie.
Full whitewashing, full racist casting. And we go full Breakfast at Tiffany's with like the Mickey Rooney casting. And we make make Josh Gad the Wizard of the Mounds.
I mean, he can be that character. He's been that character in other movies. The funny comedic relief sort of chorus narrator, right? Like that's kind of like what Olaf is in the second movie, I think, in the second Frozen, up to a point. So
no, I kid. No, that.
Oh, come on, Alex.
I got to double down. You got to.
Well, I'm not saying that you have to like make him Asian. I'm just saying that he can take over. You recasted.
Well, in the narration, I honestly think a reveal of him being the King Ostrich character taking Max von Sydow's payday would be pretty funny.
Von Sydow doesn't need the Conan money. He has the Exorcist money.
Yeah, it worked out all right for him. No, we don't have to do, go full Tropic Thunder with it, with the Wizard of the Mounds, but yeah, you could easily make Gad that character because, again, like you said, the Mako Iwamatsu, he is there to kind of be quirky and add to bring some flavor to the story as it's kind of getting mundane because we kind of get the idea of it. And that also means that Josh Gad would provide narration.
Yep, and this is so that would be the role that would be the least of a stretch for him because it's already kind of comedic and it plays to his strengths. If you cast him as the king, I love Josh Gad, but that's gonna take a little out of the seriousness.
Yeah, that's fair.
Of that scene, and even if you given the makeup and the wide beard and all that stuff. Now, Alex, when you said whitewashing, I thought that you were suggesting that we would replace James Earl Jones and Josh Gad would play Tulsa Doom.
No, can't do that. Can't do it, homie.
I mean, James Earl Jones won't care.
No, he won't. But I mean, we found him to be one of the major talking points of this movie. Which I guess in turn we could make Josh Gad one of the major talking points of this movie, and he turns into a snake at one point. So.
And then Arnold chops his head off at the end of the movie.
Jesus. It takes a few whacks too. So I mean, I guess anything's possible.
What we can say for sure is that unless Josh Gad somehow commits for like 2 years to just working out on whatever, he's not going to be playing one of the barbarians, one of the big warriors with like the swords and the it's not in the cards. It's not in the cards for him, for me.
Mainly
for
his height would be, pro wrestling principle. I'm not going to for a second believe Josh Gad could give Arnold any problems in a real fight.
What if he replaces the camel? And so drunk Arnold doesn't punch a camel. Instead, he punches Josh Gad.
That'd be awesome. Just like superimpose that in, like in E.T. when they took the cops' guns away. You just take the camel out and put Josh Gad in there. Huh?
Okay. Probably not that one, but I think we've given other options that were good for the Josh Gad Minute. So it's up to Mr. Gad, up to the viewers and listeners as well. I think that you guys can chime in and let us know. Did we miss a character somehow? I'm willing to amend this Josh Gad Minute because we didn't have many options. And now, Alex, let's move on to the final stage. Let's do some trivia.
We talk about in the episode, but our director and writer here, John Milius and Oliver Stone, talk about kind of what went into that, the writing, and how that came to be. But Pumping Iron is kind of what thrusted Arnold into the public knowledge.
I'm coming day and night. I mean, it's terrific, right?
That's all they needed to see to be like, that's Conan the Barbarian right there. Look at that dude. He's fucking jacked. I couldn't figure out a way to like transition into this, but one of the, or how to make it relevant to what we're talking about, but one of the more famous luchadors of the 1990s was Conan, Konnan, who had a storied run in Mexico, including he was on soap operas and recorded records and was a fucking Casanova. And this transitioned to a run of his in World Championship Wrestling, in which he became a member of the NWO, which was a very famous stable at the end of the 90s, and went on to become an all-time carny in his own right. And now, as they all do, ended up working for the WWE. But Conan, I was trying to see if there was any like reveal of like his character that he was, sent from the gods or whatever. But it looks like in the 80s, he debuted in the late 80s under the name, eventually when he started working, I believe, in AAA, Conan El Barbaro. So
Yeah.
Conan the Barbarian. And so, yeah, it was directly lifted from that. So
did he have a sword? Did he have long hair? I mean, was that...
He had long hair, and Conan, like, sometimes when I go back and watch some of his stuff from Mexico, I'm like, Jesus, he was just huge. Because that was kind of the thing, like, he was still big, like, when he got to WCW, but he was also, like, standing next to people like Hulk Hogan and Kevin Nash. So it's like, next to you or me, he looks fucking gigantic. And then like watching some of the stuff in Mexico when he was working with smaller guys, yeah, he looked huge. The anecdote I have about Conan, I mean, there's many, but one that I think you might be tickled by was like he was brought in the early 90s to the WWF. They weren't going to use him as Conan, but Vince McMahon had this idea for like a character that was sent from space named Max Moon. And like his whole thing was that he was going to look like a spaceman. And it eventually went to a guy named Paul Diamond, who the Max Moon, he had like this weird mask and like this full blue bodysuit, and he shot like fireworks out of his wrists. They just like rigged him up like that. But Conan told the story of like Vince was like all in classic Vince McMahon fashion. He was all in it. And then like 2 weeks later, something caught his eye and he forgot about it forever. But Conan told the story of they brought him the suit, which cost $15,000, and wanted him to put it on. And Vince was telling him to like dance like a spaceman or something. And Conan's like, what the fuck does that even mean? And so like, he was like trying to dance and practice the entrance, and Vince, no, God damn it, like this, So that's my Conan story I was thinking about. But back to the Conan du jour. Charles Bronson, Sylvester Stallone were also considered for the role of Conan.
Man,
Sly as Conan would be. That'd be a hard ask. Because I'm just thinking of Sly now in one of these wigs and shit, and like, you killed my mother. with Arnold, I think that's the whole thing of this movie is Arnold is not good in this. And we talk about, listen to the episode for further discussion of that. But you still can kind of buy the fantastical elements because of how Arnold looks.
Yeah.
And also because of his accent. Like, it's like, okay, this is this warrior beast. It just fucking Sly in there, you know. Like, then Charles Bronson just no dice. Sean Connery and John Huston were considered for other roles. James Earl Jones and Max von Sydow were, according to Milius, hired with the hope that they would inspire Schwarzenegger, Bergman, and Lopez. Jones was an award-winning veteran of numerous theater and cinema productions. Von Sydow was a Swedish actor of international renown. This is after The Exorcist, after all. The role of Thulsa Doom was offered to Jones while he was considering applying for the role of Grendel in the upcoming feature based on John Gardner's eponymous novel. After learning it was an animation, Jones read Conan's script and accepted the part of Doom. Just love that idea of...
He was too good for animation in the 80s.
Exactly, yeah.
Come the 90s, it's like, I'll do it, sure.
And when he passed away, there was a whole lot of people that knew him from that, you know?
It's like, if you grew up in the 90s, he's Mufasa to you. If you grew up in the 80s, he's Darth Vader. Right?
Yeah, that would be fair. It was, for me, of course, Old Man Myrtle from The Sandlot, but yeah, that's a fair characterization. I did mention earlier this movie was a success financially. Off a $20 million budget, raked in somewhere between 70 and 80 million, depending on which reports you believe. Spawned a sequel. And we go into this in pretty solid detail in the actual episode, just questioning, like, we discuss each other's experience with the character and whatnot. But I do need to call out that the character of Conan the Barbarian was introduced first in 1932. So there was plenty of literature and comics to whet the appetite. And obviously there was plenty for people to go off of by the time this movie came out. So there are people out there, you know, that
had been waiting for 50 years.
Similarly to, you know, they've become more accessible just due to the internet, but like come the end of the decade when the Batman movie came out, the Batman truthers and diehards that were very displeased with the Tim Burton interpretation of it. So I need that footage somewhere when they're shooting like as Conan's letting out of the premiere and they're like, "What do you think of the movie?" Go Arnold! But there's like that one like fucking outtake where the guy is just like, "This was not true to the source material."
That was not Conan.
I don't know what that was. Pretty Boy they cast, but as we mentioned, co-written by Oliver Stone, and as we discover in real time in the episode, this was pretty young into his career, so this was a big deal for him. Let's see here. Schwarzenegger was paid $250,000 and placed on retainer. The terms of the contract restricted him from starring in other sword and sorcery films. Schwarzenegger said Conan was his biggest opportunity to establish himself in the entertainment industry, and that it did. Just 2 short years later, the Terminator would make Arnold Schwarzenegger one of the most famous actors in the world.
I don't remember when, because we looked it up when we were recording when Red Sonja came out, but that's Swords and Sandals, and Arnold is, at least according to IMDb, his first build there.
Didn't we figure out it was like an extension?
Right, so I guess it was okay as long as he was part of the Conan universe.
I guess so.
Because he's not playing Conan in that movie, according to...
No, he's not. But yeah, that's... maybe it was just for the first and sequel. I don't know. You got the Bradley Cooper deal from The Hangover.
In Red Sonja, he's just wearing sunglasses the entire time.
Lastly here, Sandal Bergman, a dancer who had bit parts in several theater productions, played Valeria. She was recommended to Milius by Bob Fosse, who had directed her in All That Jazz.
Valeria is in All That Jazz?
Apparently. And was accepted after reading for the part. Where is the Conan the Barbarian criterion to put next to my All That Jazz?
Right. I mean, it would be right next to it because you have A for all that jazz and then
No.
C for Conan. So
Yeah, it wouldn't work either way because if you're a sane person and arrange them by spine number, the release number, then it's not going to work. But I think we're overdue an Arnold Criterion. I'm just trying to figure out what that would be. Terminator 2 would be too obvious. Maybe it will be Conan. Pee-wee's
Terminator
Big
3.
Adventure got a Criterion release this week, so who fucking knows?
Yeah, but so it would be like the John Milius collection or something, and so maybe no, it'll be Pumping Iron. I mean, that's
actually like a fair call. That seems like it would be due for one. You remember this is when we were working at the theater when they did that April Fool's thing that Kindergarten Cop was getting a Criterion.
no,
You remember that?
No.
Dude, it was so funny. It was on their website. They they did like a a cover of it, and it was like a coloring book that was like some kid like scribbled on.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I don't know. We're True Lies, stranger things have happened. We could end up there one day, but anyway, Conan the Barbarian, hell of a story in terms of its players and what came from it. The movie itself, visually good.
I think that your experience watching it is going to depend also on how much affection you have for that type of 80s movie that is, keep saying sword and sandals, but that's because that's what they are, and that's what they were called. Maybe they're still called that genre. Big dudes with swords and sexy women barely clothed with swords and lots of nudity and respected actors coming in for like a couple of minutes and turning into snakes. I mean, it was a thing back in the 80s. So you might want to give it a shot. If you're a Conan fan, I really want to pick your brain because what is it like to watch this? Me not being a big Conan fan, just knowing a little bit of Conan, I feel like this is not the best adaptation they could have gotten, but this movie's kind of beloved. So I don't know. Let us know. Hit us up. But coming up next, Alex, let me go through my mental Rolodex of recordings. What are we doing next? Oh, something that we have no idea about. It's not Quantum of Solace. Quantum Leap?
Quantum Cowboys.
Quantum Cowboys. There we go. We know nothing about other than patrons Katie and Oti want us to do it. And it's super fresh. So expect us to be saying not so nice things about Quantum Cowboys in the next episode. Watch it so that you are on the same page as we are. Watch Conan, why not? Listen to the episode. But that's it for us. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And we'll talk to you again soon.
I'm coming day and night.